Hi guys and welcome back. This is part 5 of my C++ for game development series, and in this part we'll be taking a look at if, else if and else. So it's going to be a fairly simple one, but probably one of the most useful things which you will learn in this series. So if you guys have any questions or suggestions, you can go ahead and feel free to join my Discord server. Link to that is down in the video description. Also, if you guys do wish to support me, make sure you guys do check out my Patreon page as well. Link to that as well will be down in the video description. Now, the concept of if, else if and else is basically down to branching. So branching is basically what we call as like checking conditions and running various branches of code. So basically what you do is you check for a certain condition. So let's say for example we have a variable a. You would check if a is equal to 20 for example, and you would run certain code, something like that. Just giving an example. We'll take a look at practical examples just a while later. Now branching can be done using if, else if and else. That should be fairly understood by now. And this is the syntax that we'll be using. Not much to digest. So you type in if, and in the parentheses you put your condition, and in curly braces you put the code which needs to be executed if condition 1 is true. And similarly for else if, so if condition 1 fails, if condition 1 is false, it's going to head into the next else if block. So else if condition 2 is true, it's going to execute the given code, and this can be done n number of times, and at the end you'd have an else block. And know that it's not really compulsory to have an else block. It's not really compulsory to have else if. You could have them in any combination, but you need to have an initial if. That's about it. So if you use the keyword if and give a condition and some code for it, that should be more than sufficient, and you could mix and match any other combinations as you wish. So let's head into Visual Studio then. Okay guys, so now we are in Visual Studio, and let's get started by actually setting up some conditions. So this is the syntax which you saw in the presentation. So if, in parentheses, you would have your condition. So I'll just comment it out for now. So I'll just use a block comment for this. So you would have your condition over here, and in curly braces you would have the set of statements which you want to execute if this condition is true, and you can go ahead and have the remaining else if blocks and stuff. We'll get to that one by one. Now for example we have int b equals 10. Now let's check if b is actually equal to 10. So if b double equals 10, you would notice that I used two equals. The reason is that single equals means assignment. So basically by typing in single equals, you're basically saying you want to assign 10 to b. So the way you actually check if b is actually equal to 10 is by using double equals. So you use two equals. So this whole expression is going to result in a true or false statement. So this in this case it's going to be true. So you can type in cout. Let's say for example b is 10. So go ahead and run a debugger, and you would notice we get b is 10, and 10 we didn't end the line over there, so that's the reason we got that. So end l, and this should be all good. So b is 10 and we get 10. Now let's say we do change this value to 20. This condition is now going to fail. So what if you wanted to check another condition? So let's say else if b is, for example, less than 50. So you'd use the same symbols which you use while writing. So that's the reason I didn't really go over these operators. It's because these are the same which you use while you're writing. So if I haven't mentioned any operator, or if you do know how they are denoted while writing it on paper, so most of the times it is the same. Just for a couple of operators it is a little bit different. Now let's just go ahead and print something. So we can say b is not 10 but less than 50. So go ahead and run a debugger once again. And we get the value b is not 10 but less than 50. Now again we didn't end the line over there, so we'll just go ahead and do that. So go ahead and run it, and we're going to get the same output. Now let's say for example I make this 220 for example. Now you would see that we only get 220, so both of these blocks were not executed. Now this is where you can add an else block. So let's say all the conditions fail, you could add an else. So you could type in cout none of the conditions matched. So this should be good. And we'll go ahead and end the line over there. None of the conditions matched. Now you need not have an else if block. You could just have if else. So that's going to work totally fine as well. It's just that it's no longer going to check for that condition. So that's about how you use if and stuff. Now this need not be just an integer. You could check anything. So let's say for example you had a boolean whose value was true. So what you could do is you could just type in if b. Basically b itself contains true or false, so you can do that. And in fact, just another thing here. So if I just type in int b equals 50, and if I type in if b, and if I go ahead and run my code, you would see we get b is 10. I mean, that's what we manually printed. But what it would imply is b is true, because this block is executed when this condition is true. So this implies b is true. And let's say we put negative 50. And it's again going to return true. Basically anything other than 0 is going to return true. That's one thing to know in C++. So that's basically it, guys. So you could use the same interpretation for various data types. It's just a matter of finding the right condition to suit your code logic, and that's about it. Anyways, with actual examples you will have a brief idea, but about the syntax and stuff, this is basically it. So that's it for this video, guys. Thanks for watching. If you guys did enjoy the video, make sure you guys do leave a thumbs up, and make sure you guys do subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and make sure you hit the bell icon so you won't miss any future videos. Goodbye.